What are the limitations and characteristics of criticism of explanation by origin? Criticism has developed and branched into different schools in the modern age. Criticism of explanation is one of them. Such criticism is based upon a scholarship. Eliot says that such criticism merges into a scholarship and a scholarship merges into criticism. The practitioners of such criticism try to explain the origin of the words and phrases in a poem in order to understand the poem. They think that the explanation of the origin of the words in a poem is the explanation of the poem. That is why Lewis tried to explain the origin of the words used in Kubla Khan and The Ancient Mariner by Coleridge in the book The Road to Xanadu, as Lewis believed that poetic originality is largely an original way of assembling the most disparate material to make a new whole. But we find that such information helps us in no way in the understanding of Kubla Khan and the Ancient Mariner. In fact, such critics have mistaken explanation for understanding. They should know that explanation is a means to understanding, yet a number of scholars have seized upon the Lewis method as a clue to the understanding of any poem. For example, Herbert Reed wrote a book on Wordsworth in which he explains the rise and fall of Wordsworth's poetry. He points out that the rise and fall are because of the poet's affair with Annette Whelan. In the same way, Batson wrote a book on Wordsworth. In this book, he explains the real secret behind the rise and fall of poetic power in Wordsworth. He points out that the poet's affair with his sister Dorothy was primarily responsible for it. He says that this information would enable one to understand Lucy poems in a better way. But Eliot says that this is not necessarily a help towards understanding the poem. In the words of Eliot, too much information about the origins of poems may even break contact with the poem. Eliot means to say that such a method of criticism diverts our attention from the poem to the poet. This is because all poems contain something which has practically no relationship with anything that went before the writing of the poem. In the words of T.S. Eliot, when the poem has been made, something new has happened, something that cannot be wholly explained by anything that went before. That is why Eliot suggests that we should concentrate our attention only upon the poem. He feels no need for any light upon the poem beyond the radiance shed by the poem itself. Eliot says that exponents of criticism of explanation by origin believe in mechanistic view. This view is purely casual. It takes an effect as the result of a cause. So one who believes in it explains the cause to explain the effect. The standpoint may hold good with the physical world, but it carries no weight in the world of poetry. A poem is not only contained in the cause, in fact, it is unlike the cause in effect. That is why Eliot suggests that we should take help of the energetic view in order to explain a poem. According to this view, an event is traced from effect to cause. It believes that energy forms basis of exchange in everything. This standpoint is helpful in understanding a poem. Eliot says that he has himself added a note to his The Westland. He says that the very note created a wrong impression to a reader who took him as a supporter of criticism of explanation by origin, but the fact is otherwise. Eliot is not biased against any school of he explains the merits and demerits of each school impartially. This this shows that he is highly objective in the appreciation of methods other than his own.